Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American Fußball experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Hi.
Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
The Bundesliga be Bundesliga-ing is the title of this episode.
I mean, did it ever? But yeah, this is now the Las Vegas podcast. Last week we did a bunch of time talking about it, and you were this inspired you to the point where you went.
Yep, 100%. I think it was on our USA episode.
You were jonesing for Vegas.
Yeah, well, you know what I've been doing for the last couple months of my life? Jack. I've been doing absolute jack. Other than the Schnitzel Boys, I've been playing this video game called Red Dead Redemption 2 forever, and just all day, every day. I mean, the game is just sucking me in. And I'm not even the biggest gamer in the world. I like games, but this game just took me in. And I usually get a couple days off in the middle of the week because I work weekends. And every week I'm like, I'm going to do something. I've got a project. But no, I just sit there and I play video games all day, every day. I do nothing. And then one day I'm like, I need to get out of the house. Something needs to get me out of the house. I need to go on an adventure again. I need to go do something. So at 4 a.m, I've been toying with the idea of going to Las Vegas. I get offers to go to their rooms over there, and it's a cheap getaway for me in Los Angeles. I love the drive. It's my favorite part of the trip. Is the drive.
Nice drive. I've only done it once.
I love it. There's so much weird, kitschy stuff to do on the drive. That's almost part of that's like almost the best part of the trip.
Oh yeah, like what?
I mean, there's a place called. I took a new route. I drove north of LA, like through the mountains, then through the desert. And there's little shops like Native American gift shops, which I wanted to stop at. Unfortunately, I did not this time. I'll do it next time. Then there's the outlets at Barstow. And right next to Barstow, which I learned on the way back, is like a canyon where people with RVs and four-wheelers just camp out. And it's literally just like the desert. It's just the desert and mountains in the background. And it's April, so it had nice, cool air. And I'm just driving past this giant ocean dirt lot, like the size of an ocean. And it's just like 4 RVs, all with their own, a mile away from each other. And they all take off dirt bikes and little four-wheelers, and there's four-wheeler and dirt biking everywhere. It's like a big four-wheeler dirt bike track. And it's like, I want to do that. That's very, very cool. And then also on the way, there's this thing that I can't explain. It's like a bunch of wooden structures and shipping containers that are all spray painted. Right out of the music video California, the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg music video. You know how they're off in the middle of the desert in post-apocalyptic gear? It looks like, that's what it looks like. It looks like a post-apocalyptic set in the middle of the desert. And right across the street from it, it's a tiny little wooden shack. And on the wooden shack, it's spray painted, so-and-so county, I forgot what county I was in. So-and-so county sheriff is the most crooked sheriff in the world. That's what it says. Oh. Spray painted on the shack, facing the highway. Right across the street from all these structures covered in spray paint that no one is near, and there's no exit to get there. I wouldn't even know how to get there. So there's a story there. Something's going on over there. Like I need to, next time I go, I need to stop and take a picture. Then there's the Zizix exit. You know what the Zizix exit is?
No. It's
an exit off the highway. It just says so-and-so Zizix Road this way, and it's spelled ZZYXX. Something like that. And you go off the exit and it goes to nothing. It's just a dirt lot with a jet ski, a painted jet ski just there lying on the ground. That's the exit. That's Zizix Road.
Okay.
And I guarantee you it's like a party spot or something. It's like where people go raving or something like that. Then there's Eddie's World. You know what Eddie's World is, Bjorn?
Nope, I don't know that either.
Eddie's World is a big truck stop right between Vegas and Los Angeles. And they have a giant ice cream sculpture built outside to be like, come on in, we've got ice cream in the desert. And I go, and it's this large thing with all the snacks you've ever seen. It's just rows and rows and rows and rows of different types of peanuts and cashews and like jelly beans. It's like the biggest candy snack store you've ever seen before in your life. I bought a bag of Rocky Road candies, which are these chocolate covered walnut marshmallows. They're delicious. I bought some Buffalo Ranch cashews. I bought barbecue peanuts. I bought a little trail mix, and I bought some sour jelly beans, all in just these big bags. And then you can buy, they have like their homemade jerky, homemade ice cream. It's like a giant little truck stop called Eddie's World. Amazing. And they have a giant wall dedicated to the Los Angeles Lakers. They have a Lakers shrine right there.
So it takes you 18 hours to drive
18 hours
from LA to Vegas with this
I've got
program.
more. I've got more. Down the street from Barstow. Down the street from Barstow is a thrift shop where they sell the coolest crap, including old Vegas stuff from like the 60s. So it's just this little, like, it's like right out of American Pickers, just like this junk yard full of stuff. And they have like old arcade and casino like signs. There's all this old cool crap to buy. It's just I'm a kid in a candy store in the desert, man. Literally. I love the dang desert. I love driving through it. I love all the random little stops. And then when you're done with the stop, you drive on. It's nothing for an hour. It's just beautiful desert. So it's just a cool drive. I'm just getting out of work right now. Good Abend, Hans Wolf.
Hans Wolf, yeah. I saw us. We ran into each other at City Field, but we'll talk about that in hour two. I no longer go to the stadium without seeing Hans.
Nice.
It's part of it's part of the experience.
I have some exciting news for Hans. I guess I could do it this hour. There has been a next step. You don't even know this, Bjorn. I guess I have been working a little bit over the weekend. I have set in motion our merchandising superstore. You know how Eddie's World has all these snacks? We're gonna have Schnitzel World. We're gonna have Schnitzel World. It's gonna be full of T-shirts and mugs and maybe even tote bags. Who knows? Phone cases. Who knows? Just a little preview. It's what I'm saying is there's a shirt coming your way, Hans, at some point. It's coming. Nice. I just did another mock-up. This is I'm wearing the 1.0 shirt. I just did a revised mock-up, and I have that's coming in the mail, so we'll check that out. And if it completes the Schnitzel Boys quality stamp of approval, then out to the public it goes. So we have a full merch shop available. A little bit of a preview announcement because it's not finalized, but we're getting there. It's gonna be soon. I'm really excited about it. So
amazing.
Yeah. Schnitzel Boys shop coming. Okay. We had Bundesliga be Bundesliga-ing this week. We had so much to talk about this week, right? In the world of German soccer. We'll save our second Vegas conversation for the second hour. As after I'm done talking about the road trip, I also spent some time in Vegas itself. Talk about that.
Oh, so that's gonna happen. Yeah, like this. Apparently it took you 18 hours to get there with all the candy stops. So yeah, no, we'll save that for hour two. Sounds good. Yeah, Bundesliga.
Yeah, candy stop, post-apocalyptic set stop, random stop. There's a lot of different types of stops.
Random outlet stop.
We haven't even talked about the casinos. Right when you get to the Nevada border, there's two giant casinos with roller coasters right there waiting for you.
Oh, the local casinos. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love it because it's like Vegas is only 30 minutes further, but people who really, really need to gamble can just stop right here, I guess. Anywho, speaking of gambling, I did a little gambling this week. I put money on Bayer Leverkusen because one in Vegas.
That didn't work.
Yeah, I bet money on German soccer. Isn't that cool? In an American city, I go to a casino and be like, $40 on Bayer Leverkusen, please. And they're like, sure, there you go. And they kept my money because Bayer Leverkusen faltered midweek as they couldn't beat Union Saint-Gilloise at
Could
home.
not. The Union, that's the German killer. It's the other Union that kills the German teams in the Europa League. Yeah.
And they did a really good job in Leverkusen.
Those, not far be it for me as a really non-gambler at this point in my life, far be it for me to criticize your decision making in this regard, but those odds seem bad.
Yeah.
You were only going to get
$20.
$20 on your 40 wager.
Yeah, but that's more. It's not about that. I was in Vegas. I was like, this will be a fun story
it's
for the
not
podcast.
about winning. Okay.
Well, it is about winning, but it's like, I'm in Vegas. I need to bet on a German soccer team. I've
Okay.
never done that before in my life. Let's do
All
it. And it's Bayer Leverkusen at home. They were supposed to win against a Belgian club. Bayer Leverkusen were supposed to win. I was supposed to get $20 back.
But I think, okay.
But that didn't happen. I lost my $40.
It just seems like, yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, so I understand. If I want to actually gamble, I would have bet on Union Saint-Gilloise, but I would have lost too because it was a tie.
Well, I think, yeah, I don't know. Like, so this would suggest that that these odds, if my math is right, these odds would suggest that Bayer Leverkusen is supposed to win 19 out of 20 times, which I think that's probably not that. That's probably not that. I wouldn't be that confident. Anyway, whatever. It's for fun.
Yeah, it's for fun. I'm supporting the German boys, the only team in Europe that has a chance of making through the semis, because there's another German team in Europe called Bayern München, and they got their butts handed to them by Manchester City, which I feared.
It was one of those times that are rare for me, where I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad for Bayern. I don't usually. That's an unexpected feeling. Usually, it's like, oh, always happy to see them lose. Not in this case. I thought. Well, anyway, you wanna go first? What were your impressions?
No, Bayern München have that weird dichotomy, if I'm using that word right. Maybe I'm not. Where like in Germany, they're the bad guys, right? Because they're the big bad wolf. But outside of Germany, they're our team. They represent Germany. They're like the German team.
Well, I would. Well, I mean, even it's taken a while. Even now, I don't really. But I think I found myself, as I got older and as I don't live in Germany anymore, I do feel a softer spot for Bayern every once in a while. I was definitely rooting for them over PSG.
Right, and Man City, right? Man City has terrible oil owners. They have this terrible thing where they pretend to have global clubs that are really the same clubs.
They're the same owners as my team. I don't know if you're aware. They own NYCFC also, City Football Group. They're the same owners. Oh, that's what you're saying. That's the point you're making. I see.
You on a little bit.
No, I know. I got that. I got it.
But the reality is, with that being
Man
said,
City, I have similarly mixed feelings. I'm not by default a fan of theirs. I don't believe some people think, oh, you can't be. I have some friends who won't go to NYCFC games because they're like, oh, I can't support them because that means I'm not a City fan. I was like, that has nothing to do with each other. They're two separate teams. You don't have to. But we did, when my son and I did travel to Manchester, they were very nice to us. They were very welcoming. And
yeah, what is that? What do you mean? Like, when you went, did you say, hi, I'm an NYCFC fan? How'd that work?
No, this was organized by the Third Rail, the supporters, the supporters group. And this was, I guess, in 2016, maybe. So this was the first one. I think this is an annual, or more or less, when there's no global pandemic, it's an annual event where the Third Rail sends people to Manchester, usually before MLS starts. In our case,
that does promote a partnership, by the way. So it's like they're not hiding the fact that the brands are unified.
No, I mean, they are owned. They are part of the same company, but that doesn't mean you have to be a fan. It was just, I don't know. We were also the first ones to go,
right?
The group that I was in, and so they just went out of their way. They gave us tours of the stadium, and they organized a tournament. They hit up some local City supporters who had teams who were all just as middle-aged as we were, and they had.
Oh,
they
you guys
put up,
played?
Yeah, they put
that's
up a
nice.
little tournament at their academy, and
Did you guys win? Did you guys win?
we did not. No, we
Oh.
certainly did not.
Yeah, they were organized.
We had one.
Organized
We
fun
had
team.
we were 3 games. We had 3 games. We got blown out twice, and we were pretty close. We're pretty close in the third one. But anyway, and then they had us on stage. My son Max was part of this, and they had us on stage. They do this like city TV thing where they have a stage at before the game, and the moderator asked us about this tournament, and she said that she had heard that we were all rubbish, and said except Max, my son, he was the only one who was any good. So no, so they were very sweet. We got to see them play Spurs. And yeah, it was very nice. So I do have a little bit of a soft spot for them, I guess. But
what about this matchup then? So that's
no. In this case, I mean, I felt pretty neutral in the beginning, but then I just felt like obviously this was a disastrous game for Bayern, and I feel like it was they got a little unfortunate. I thought. I think they
well, the game was pretty even for like Bayern.
It was even for a while, and
the last 20 minutes where it just broke off. And the Man City took the last 20 minutes.
They just kind of they just sort of collapsed, which is unusual for them. So,
and then do you know what happened afterwards?
Yeah, well, there was fisticuffs.
There's a little fisticuffs between Mane and Zane with a little
Mane and Zane.
The Mane Zane brawl. And
Mane Zane.
And the whole thing makes you think of just there's been an inkling of something's going behind the scenes in Bayern this year, right? You feel that. Up to Nagelsmann. Now Tuchel's in. And it feels that there's still a lot of locker room unrest going on. There's something I don't know if the coaching change was necessarily healthy for them.
Things
since it's happened, they've gotten kicked out of the cup. They've dropped points in the Bundesliga, which we'll get to in a second. And it's looking very unlikely. They're about to get kicked out of the Champions League now, too.
Very likely, yeah.
So
I mean, anything other than that would be a huge comeback. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it wasn't a results thing necessarily, right? It was sort of a cultural thing.
It was how they were talking to each other. You're talking about the fight,
and no, I'm talking about the coaching change. So it's there were definitely some issues, and I guess changing the coach is always the easy, because it's hard to change players in mid-season.
And according to reports, Thomas Tuchel said that Sadio Mane is not in his plans moving forward. He's going to sell him over the summer.
Really? That's official?
Well, that's what apparently, according to reports, that's what Thomas Tuchel has said. So Thomas Tuchel's shaking up that cart right away, which I assumed he would. And he wants to get rid of their big star signing, first things first. So I don't know how healthy that is either.
I mean, I don't think we know really exactly what this disagreement was about, right? I mean, Mane he's probably frustrated, has missed a lot of time due to injury, and this hasn't gone as well as he's wanted. But I don't know exactly what the problem was.
Well, Sadio Mane's been injured for a while, and he also transitioned to a new club. I mean, Sadio Mane was 2-time African Football of the Year right up until last year. He's a great player, but yeah, I guess.
I mean, Liverpool are missing them. This is sort of somebody. I think I forget who it was. Somebody was tweeting this. It's like that. The narrative is in Liverpool. The narrative is now that they sold Mane and now they suck. And in Bayern, the narrative is they bought Mane and now they suck. So it's like it's unclear. Yeah, exactly.
I think the real narrative is Bayern sold Lewandowski and now they suck. I think that's the real narrative.
And they cannot survive without Chuba, and Choupo-Moting is now injured, so now they really got nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
Although apparently he's going to be back for the game against Man City, thankfully.
Oh,
if they have any hope, it's him.
Get a hat trick, and
you need 2 hat tricks, I think, this time. I think we need a couple of hat tricks.
Just one, and then overtime.
Yeah, then overtime. But then we also have to have a clean sheet. So
No, that's not true. Away goals are not a thing anymore in the Champions League.
Well, but then they need more than a hat trick. If you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
3 goals.
Right.
So if we score 3 goals, they score 1 goal. That's the end of it. Fancy. Here's this. Huntswolf says, I'm split between Southampton being the one and Tottenham being my London club. Yeah, I like Southampton.
Those are two tough choices currently.
Well, my London club is Fulham, simply because they had a great relationship with American and German players over the years. They're the first club to have a German coach in what's his face? The Felix Magath used to coach Fulham once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Clint Dempsey and Brian McBride. And when I went to London last May, I took a tour of the stadium and it was lovely. Fulham is my little club. If I had to pick an English club, it's Fulham. And I love the fact they're doing great right now with Tim Ream and Johnny Robinson. They're total full America for me. Tottenham is punching above its weight. Tottenham just became a good club over the last few years without that injection that all the other clubs have gotten. Like the year Leicester won, Tottenham was second place. They should have won that year, but they didn't. And that would have been just the same miracle as Leicester's. I think Tottenham's done a good job keeping up with all the big boys without having that like injection that the other clubs have. You know what I'm saying? So I get a little respect to Tottenham.
Well, they are not having a good season this season. In general, I agree.
I mean, when I started watching the English Premier League, Tottenham was a relegation fodder club. So like they were just usually mid. That's when Casey Keller was their keeper back in the day. Talking like they were a mid-table club at best that had a tradition, thing. They're better than that now. But as far as their usual standard, sure, they're having a rough season. But anywho, you know who else is having a rough season? I don't know what that segue was because I'm going to say
who is it? Who's it going to be?
Hertha. Let's start with Hertha. That's a good segue. Hertha BSC is having a rough season. They just got themselves a new coach, Bjorn. They got themselves a coach named Paul Dardai.
Oh my God, yes.
They've hired him 3 times. They fired him 3 times. He is Hertha just has no answers. They're like, whatever, let's bring Paul Dardai. It was either that or Bruno Labbadia. You know what I mean? It's like they have no ideas. So they fired him a year and a half ago because they weren't exciting enough or something. And now they're too boring. So they hired him back to bring excitement back to the club. Their words. They have Hertha BSC has their own ecosystem with their own coaching carousel going on. So there you go. Hertha having a rough season. Schalke having a great game over the weekend. Hoffenheim looking like they're turning it around.
Hoffenheim getting a point at Bayern.
To drop 2 points. And like I said, the Bayern sort of teeter-tottering continues. So Borussia Dortmund had the perfect chance to capitalize on that. Did they capitalize on that, Bjorn?
They did not. I mean, this was one of those, if you are a Dortmund fan, this is the kind of thing that just makes you want to die. Like, I mean, I don't really even care that much, but it was so frustrating. It's like they're up, they have a 2-0 lead. They're up a man, and they piss it away, and then they go up. Giorena comes off the bench, scores again in stoppage time, and then they piss it away again, and really just pathetic defending. I mean, just ridiculous.
That old school Dortmund defending came right back. They were just wandering around and they got hit on the counter.
Right. We were praising them. They had gotten over it, but I don't know. There were some people missing again. And it's like, yeah, this was just this was bad. This was bad. And this was an opportunity, obviously, to draw even on points at least. And yeah, this is not how you win the championship. However, I mean, Bayern's dropping points left and right, so it's all still open, all still possible.
Yeah, but the reason I call it Bundesliga-ing, it's like Bayern's dropping points, and the one team chasing them, they're also dropping points. So they're both dropping points.
Can't hold on, yeah. And then everybody, and then there's the rotating carousel of who can step up, who are the other teams, and Union Berlin drop points to Bochum at home.
Right. That's right.
Leipzig got a win, but then again, Freiburg also got a win. But Leverkusen, they had won 5 in a row. They dropped points in Wolfsburg. Frankfurt won again, lost again. They've been struggling. So it's people just can't. They didn't lose actually. Sorry, they tied at home against Gladbach, which is also. Yeah, so nobody's getting it together. And Dortmund, that loss at Bayern really seems to have cracked their psyche a little bit. Right. They were a solid defensive team up to that point, and recently now they're back to their old ways. So
little Stuttgart, one of the league's most strugglingest clubs, scored 3 on them. So, I mean, they should have done a little bit better, but who knows? Maybe because they're seeing Bayern falter, that'll give them that last push needed for the remaining 6 games of the season. And Union Berlin's only 5 points behind the 2 of them. And I believe Union Berlin does face one of the 2 of them moving forward, I think.
But they were unable to beat Bochum at home. So, so they could have also been, they could have gotten a little closer.
So the big clubs are faltering, but little clubs like Bochum, like a Hoffenheim, like a Schalke are gaining some steam, and a Stuttgart. So the clubs on the bottom, the only one club that's still a punching bag is Hertha Berlin. They're the ones who I don't know if they're going to break free of what they're doing. We'll see.
I mean, all of those teams. This is a pretty. It's a pretty. I mean, Bochum has lost 17 games out of 28. Like, if most other seasons, this would be already looking pretty dire. But we're not in a relegation spot, and it seems like Bochum does better as the underdog. The 2 games recently that sort of were circled as must wins against Schalke at home and against Stuttgart at home, they both lost. And obviously, if they win those 2, this is already over. It seems like it's easier for them to be the underdog and get these road points. They got one in Frankfurt, they got one in Berlin, and they played well too. I mean, again, they had there was they got a little help from VAR. They had a Union Berlin had somebody sent off. But it could have really gone either way. Bochum was actually, I was impressed with how aggressive they were. They were playing to win, even though they were on the road and they were a man up. They were like, we can do this. And they almost, and they had a bunch of good chances. But then the best chance in the second half was Union, where on a counter they had, I forget who it was, but one of their attackers just had, I think, no, I don't remember his name, but he had an open header with basically the Riemann, the goalie, already beaten, and he just could not get it. He
hit the post, right? Was that the very
no?
He
He just wide.
Yeah,
just wide to the left. But that was by far the biggest chance. So this could have gone either way. And so I guess we're happy with the point. But it's still, I mean, if I look at the remaining schedule, I think Bochum will need at least 2 more wins to get ideally 3, and they're going to be hard to come by. Wolfsburg at home is next. I don't know. That would have to be 1 maybe, but
that's doable. The big story of Wolfsburg is no one's going to the stadium anymore to watch the games. It's like a less than a half empty stadium. I mean, for MLS standards, it was a full house, but for Bundesliga standards,
wait, you mean for Red Bull standards?
Well, depends. It depends on which. For Red Bull standards, sure. But other MLS clubs, not all MLS clubs are selling in and week out. Wolfsburg only had 20,000, which is half of their stands. I think they have a 40,000 stadium. And I don't 100% know what the story is there. I think maybe the fans are just giving up on the club this year. Wolfsburg, I really don't know. There's more of a story. We should probably bring someone on, maybe talking about Wolfsburg for a bit. That club is such a topsy-turvy club. I mean, I remember when John Brooks was on them 2 seasons ago. They were 3rd place. They were one of the best. They had such a great season. And since then, it's been just middling. They can't even make it to the Europa League anymore.
Yeah.
So, curious what's going on over at Wolfsburg. They've seen better days.
I'm hoping they'll lose next week.
We'll see. We'll see. Daniel Young. Hello, everyone. Daniel Young is joining us. Thank you for this live stream.
Hello.
Well, you're welcome, Daniel Young. We love being here. Monday night, Schnitzel night, party, fan party. I did a little bit of announcement.
Should I be drinking? Should I have been drinking?
I'm drinking water, that is, but I'm still drinking. So the Bundesliga be Bundesliga-ing. Let's see who's next week for Bayern. Bayern are playing. Who are they playing next week?
On the road, right? They are going to be at Mainz.
Now that's quite the game, isn't it? Because Mainz is on fire and they're having quite a great season. And psychologically, they are in a great space. So that's going to be a very interesting game. And then Dortmund is hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. Also not an easy game. That's the Europa League of Champions.
Frankfurt. And then we have, and I think the big one probably is on Sunday, Leverkusen against Leipzig, the Verfolger, das Verfolger-Duell.
Duell.
But what's Derek Ray impression. Das Verfolger-Duell in der Bundesliga.
Maybe this will put Bayer
Leverkusen gegen Red Bull. What? Sorry.
No, RB Rasenball. They don't say Red Bull. Even if Bayer Leverkusen,
when I get into character as Derek Ray, I can no longer hear. Like I'm only anyway.
I tweeted at Derek Ray because he was talking about how he got criticism for sharing results or something because there was the big Bundesliga 2 game between Kaiserslautern and HSV, which HSV also stumbled on. And the hashtag of that was hashtag FCKHSV, which is funny for an American viewer. It's hashtag,
fuck HSV.
Fuck HSV, explicit. But I don't know, he said something about like, I tweeted at him, I'm like, you defend yourself too much. Social media is toxic. I love you. Keep being you, Derek. That's what I tweeted at him. Give him a little love from Schnitzel Boys. I felt guilty because but anywho, the problem with that is even if Bayer Leverkusen win, it's not really they're trailing Leipzig by 7 points. So if they win,
then it's 4.
They'll still be 6th place. Yeah, that's true. But for Bayer Leverkusen to get the Champions League, it's still quite the challenge, I think.
No, they have to But this is a big one. Like if this one, they got to have this one if they want to get closer. Yeah.
European implications.
I would say, as Hans and Daniel are talking about their I actually hold
we'll
that
talk
thought.
About that in the second hour.
Hold that thought for the second hour because this is a subject that I'm actually interested in discussing. So, but anyway, big game for Leverkusen against Leipzig, and we have Bochum against Wolfsburg, another big one. But who knows what's going to happen with them? They're probably going to lose that one and then beat Dortmund next week. I don't know. Who knows? It's wild. The Bundesliga be nuts.
So, Bundesliga be nuts. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm still 6 games in. I still think Bayern München are going to pull it off, right? You know what would be crazy if they win just on goal difference? If Dortmund and them tie on points, but they win a goal difference. That would be such a Bundesliga thing.
That would be very Bundesliga. Bundesliga. We haven't talked a lot about the second Bundesliga, the crazy St. Pauli streak. They won 10 in a row. It finally ended this weekend. They lost at home. But they had a terrible start to the season and then changed coaches. And now they are on a winning streak. And they may be in the promotion mix.
You know what game is on Friday on ESPN Plus, Bjorn?
Is it the Hamburg Derby?
The Hamburg Derby.
Oh, Derby.
Which should be
Hamburg Derby.
Which should be my thing because that's sort of my mom's side of the family. They're all from there. It's just I never.
Is there a town? Followed. There's no town in Germany where you don't have some kind of a connection.
I mean, I'm going there in October to look for it.
3 degrees of Stefan Schnitzel. Every soccer club in Germany.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of any of them. I just have a connection to them.
Right.
But if I had to be a fan due to like where I'm from, it would either be Bochum or HSV. Those would be like the 2 clubs. And I have a soft spot for St. Pauli because they are the punk rock club, they're the Reeperbahn club, right? They're like the hipster club. They have this
cult.
They're
They're the cult club. They're a cult club.
There's an American band. He has like an alt band. He wrote the St. Pauli theme, like St. Pauli till I die, or whatever. They meet at the Jolly Roger Club downtown. I'm probably going to try to go to a St. Pauli game when I'm there. Like that, if I had to, that would probably be my club, if not one of my clubs.
That'd be fun.
It's one of my 5 clubs. But anywho, St. Pauli, Homeboy, Friday. I'll be there. Will you be there, Bjorn?
I'll watch it.
Heck yeah. And it could decide which of those 2 clubs have a promotion shout. Because I think Darmstadt's running away with it. HSV is 2nd or 3rd, and then Heidenheim is right there too. And I don't know, when was the last time they were in the Bundesliga? Probably never, I think.
I don't think ever. Yeah, probably not ever.
And then St. Pauli is right there in 4th, I think. So
yeah, I mean, for St. Pauli, it's a little bit of a long shot because they were coming from so far back. They're still 6 points behind with 6 games to play. So, but certainly beating HSV would help.
Okay, now a little bit of Europe predictions. How many teams will be left in Europe by the end of the week, do you think?
How many German teams?
How many German teams? Exactly. Yeah.
How many teams?
All teams will be eliminated. And there'll be empty slots.
I don't think any. Well, wait. Who is? I have not. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Could easily be nobody. The answer could be no one.
100%. 100%. Bayern should have quite the comeback, and I just don't believe it. I don't think they'll pull it off. And Bayer Leverkusen can still do it because it's 1-1.
Yeah,
there are no away rules.
They'd have to win they'd have to win on the road, but yeah, they have a better chance than Bayern for sure. And then Conference League, there's nobody left. So it's only we only got 2. Yeah, no, they could both be out.
Yeah, and that's how does that look for German football if there's no German teams by the semis in any competition?
Well, it seems like in the we were recently talking at Daniel's prompting, we were talking about
coefficient.
The coefficient, and Germany's gonna be dropping to 4th, most likely.
Wow. Does that mean they're going to lose a Champions League spot? Maybe?
No, the top 4 all get 7 spots, so that won't make a difference. It's only going to make a difference if they drop to 5th, which they're not. France is not close, but Italy has 6 teams still in, so they were probably gonna pass Germany anyway. But they have 6 teams, and they're pretty. I mean, they're probably going to have 2 in the semifinals in the Champions League. And Italy is doing better than Germany this year, significantly.
Napoli has Napoli is my favorites to win the thing after if Bayern gets eliminated, then for me it's Napoli, Real Madrid, and Man City are probably the big 3. You got to give it to Napoli, right? Why not?
So we're gonna lose a spot, but it's not yet consequential. But it's just interesting, like how earlier this year, the narrative was like, how is the Bundesliga so good in Europe? Now it's like nobody's.
I mean, up until the round of 16, there was quite a few teams. It's just they got eliminated pretty aggressively. All right, here's a big question from Daniel Young. We're going to talk all this USA stuff soon. But here we go. Daniel Young, in New York City, the number 7 line is the best subway line in New York City. Debatable because of the many cultures that the line serves along its route. It's an interesting statement. I mean, I used to live on the N line, and the N line, I never had to look at what stop it was. I just had to look at what the train car looked like to know exactly where I was in the city, because it would go through the city, it'd go through Midtown, it'd go through Soho, and then Chinatown, then the Fidei, and then Dumbo, and then it would be back to Park Slope, and then it would be back to Brooklyn Chinatown, where I lived, and then further down to Bay Ridge, and then down to the Russian cities of the coast. So you had all sorts of people on the end line. I always had a good time. But anyway, he's saying, does Berlin have a similar route? Now, I don't know. I've been to Berlin a couple times.
Linie 1.
What's Linie 1?
Linie 1 is line 1. That is a subway line in Berlin that had a musical written about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it about the ethnic makeup of the line?
It was about to some extent, yeah, it was about the diversity of it and how it represents different parts of the city.
Well, there you go. Linie 1 is the answer.
Linie 1.
But Berlin, though, using public transit in Berlin is like a breath of fresh air. They have 4 different lines. They have an above-ground train, a below-ground train, and then a ground tram, and then a bus.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got like 4 options to get wherever you want, and it is quick and efficient. And it's just It's just Berlin public transit is really, really lovely. And I'm sure the ethnic makeup in Berlin, like any city, changes all the time. Like Neukölln is a real hip neighborhood, Friedrichshain, and all the former DDR neighborhoods are always
It's been a bunch of years since I've been to Berlin. So
let's say the answer is Linie 1. I know
Linie 1. No, that was. I mean, this was a while. I think this was probably in the 90s. I would think this musical came out. So this has been a while, but it was a pretty hip. That was a pretty hip show.
Did it ever transfer to Broadway?
1988.
Well, the thing with public
transit...
transit...
I am old. I am officially old. It's fine.
Hey, we're all old. But the cool thing about the old Berlin trains was they would drive through the DDR. There were certain lines that would drive through the East Germany. East Berlin at the time was a communist. It was a different country. Berlin was one city of 2 countries. Western Berlin was West Germany. Eastern Berlin was East Germany. And they couldn't stop in East Berlin. So you just drive through, and all the advertisements from the 50s when the wall was built were still there. They never these were like ghost stations. So you drive through these stations, and they were like a museum of what stations looked like in the 50s before they go back to the West and stuff like that. Kind of like how in New York, on the Green Line, if you stick to it, to reposition itself, it goes through the abandoned City Hall station from many years ago, and then sets itself up to go northbound. So if you ever, a little sort of New York City secret touristy tip is take the Bowling Green subway stop all the way down the end, let it drive through a cool old abandoned subway stop that hasn't been open in years, and it's a great way to look at like an old New York City subway stop.
All right.
We got tips. We got tips. How much?
So there is just as a little postscript here. There is a movie version of Linie 1. If you're interested, I have not seen the movie. I might just check it out now.
I'll check
it out. But it does exist. Linie is spelled Linie, and 1 is the number 1. So it's Linie 1.
I will watch that because I love that. That's exactly the kind of stuff I look for. Daniel Young, Hansel Stefan, Bundesliga Law of Attraction. Very funny. Daniel Young, how much could I spend on a ticket on an Union Berlin, a Hertha Berlin ticket? Well, they could be really cheap, especially Hertha Berlin. The whole upper bowl is empty. I can't believe. I'm sure you can get in.
Well, that is they play in a. I think that's probably different between the two because Hertha, they play in the Olympiastadion, which is gigantic. And I don't think they sell out. But Union is in a smaller place, and they do sell out. But tickets in Germany are not as expensive as they. I mean, MLS here. I guess we've talked about this before. Is very different in LA versus New York.
But even so, I randomly looked up. Like this is a week or two ago. I was like, Borussia Mönchengladbach has a game, so I looked up. Let's pretend I was in Germany and wanted a ticket, and there were like so many $20 tickets available and great seats. I was like, "That's amazing." Here in LA, no, not even close. You can get an LAFC for under $50. With Union Berlin, it might be more exclusive because it's a smaller stadium on the Alte Forsterei on the other side of the city, and then in Jersey as well at the Berlin Central train station, they have a Hertha Berlin fan shop.
Yeah, and Jersey's also much cheaper in Germany than they are. MLS jerseys are great. MLS jerseys are crazy expensive.
Yeah, authentic's like $130. In Germany, like an authentic jersey is like $80, something like that, $70, $80.
The authentic here is now $150 or even $160. I think it's very, very, very expensive. Yeah,
it's 4 times the price of a Schnitzel Boys shirt.
Yeah. That's right.
That's right. Okay. Daniel Young, are you going to Berlin? I smell a Berlin
A
vacation. You have a
Berlin
couple Berlin questions.
vacation sounds exciting.
Berlin is lovely. If you're in Berlin, I recommend downloading the free Rick Steves walking tour on your phone. I used it to do a downtown Berlin walking tour, and it was lovely. It was on point, and it was a really great little tour. And it was free.
Just don't do any heroin. That's my recommendation for going to Berlin.
It's a free world, to each their own. I mean,
No.
we'll
No. You should resist. You should resist. People will approach you with that kind of talk, and you have to be like, no.
Well, in Germany, you're allowed to buy a beer anywhere and drink it wherever you want. So grab a beer, go drink it in the park. It's not like you're in the States. They're not going to give you a ticket for that. So, Anywho, so we have Germany. Europe is struggling. Domestic, it's a lot of fun. Bayern München and Dortmund are stumbling through the last part of the season. We have on the bottom, all the clubs are ready to go except for Hertha. So we still got ourselves a league, Bjorn.
Yep.
I just want to leave you guys with one last thing. After the Hoffenheim game, we had some great thoughts from, let's see, how do I do this properly? I never know how to do this.
Oh.
We had some thoughts from a friend of ours. Okay, here we go.
What is this? The waiting music?
It is the waiting music.
Pellegrino!
Our friend Pellegrino had this to say.
Day, maybe in the future, not now because you're with Hoffenheim, of course, taking on the job as US national team trainer. Is that something that is on your horizon as an ambition one day?
Oh, that's we'll see. We'll see where this job takes me. I'm open for many paths. Sometimes you just feel at a certain moment what's the right decision to make. At the moment, I'm very, very happy to be here and do what I'm doing. I'm happy to be in the Bundesliga. Of course, at some point, I do feel like it's time to give back to soccer in the States. But when that time will be, we'll see.
Reno, congratulations on the point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, very sweet.
Yeah.
It's funny, they ask him about being the U.S. coach, and he says, in the Germanest of ways.
I know. He's very like, mal sehen.
Yeah. I don't know.
I also love when he says giving back to the community.
Pellegrino. Another well, if you are a native speaker, somebody had a Twitter thread this week comparing all the coaches in the Bundesliga to James Bond villains.
Oh,
and it was very amusing. It was pretty specific. It was all in German, so it was it's not worth the effort of translating. But if you speak German and you're listening to this, look it up. Look it up. The Bundesliga coaches as villains.
What did Pellegrino Matarazzo get?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because that was the one person where the guy was saying, like, he's not gonna go through the trouble of having a Hoffenheim coach, making any kind of effort to find an analogy for a Hoffenheim coach, because they just don't last long enough for it to be worth it. So he was the only one who didn't get one.
That's unfair to our Pellegrino. Come on now.
He's been doing quite well. We were sort of worried about him, but he's been doing well.
That's right. He's doing well. Wish you the best, Pellegrino. Okay, any last thoughts or anything of German soccer this week?
I got nothing.
I got nothing as well. I think we covered it. All right, boys, it's time. We're going to hop over to the stream. We're going to talk MLS. We're going to talk power to the people.
City Field. The problems of City Field. My problems with City Field.
First world problems, we'll talk. All right, like and subscribe, tell your friends, rate and review, and all the good stuff. We're a show, we're a podcast, we're a community. We're the Schnitzel Boys. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.
Macht's gut.